Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Sisters.
Sisters.
There were never such devoted
Sisters.
Ah, so good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Well, welcome to All Things Rosie's Brain. We're going to talk a little bit about your neurospicy, neurodistinct, neuroepic brain. We're going to focus in a little bit more on ADHD and some symptoms that might maybe indicate you love somebody who has ADHD. So we've been going through these now for a little bit, and I've got kind of like two more. Okay. And so this one, I'm just going to have you reminisce about something and talk about it. And then we'll talk about why I'm bringing it up. Are you ready?
So, I am ready, but I just need to quickly ADHD say neurofabulous.
Neurofabulous. I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay, I love that. So again, we kind of bring up a story usually or an idea. We talk about that, bandy that about. Then we kind of dig into that neurofabulous brain of yours and figure out what's going on in there. And then usually we talk about strategies or things that you found that help sometimes with these things, and then put it out to our community to see what else they have, other ideas. And we've gotten some ideas coming in from people, which has been really useful. I had a friend actually at work, Ellen, hi Ellen, who said she really has to be her own little gremlin. Is it gremlin?
Butler?
Goblin,
whatever
that.
Goblin tools.
She has to really sit down and do that for herself. She can do it herself, but she has to do it for herself before she starts projects. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, wow, okay, I never would have known. So thanks for sharing that a little bit.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I remember about 6 months ago, you went to New York.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you went to New York and you took my son, your nephew, to go do various things because you lived in New York for 4 years when you were in grad school. Was that right?
4 years, yeah. So I stayed an extra year and worked.
Yeah. And so you were going to take him around your old haunts, and we said to him, what's the one thing you really want to do when you go to New York? And do you remember what he said?
That he wanted to do?
Yes, because you had various things you had an agenda, like anyone who's going to learn about New York needs to do these things. But he had one very specific thing he wanted to do, and this caused great consternation for you, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
What was that one thing, Rosie, that your nephew wanted to do?
He wanted to go to a Knicks game.
And your famous quote about anything related to athletics is you say, yay,
sports.
Yay,
sports. Go sports. Go team. Put the ball in the thing and put the other ball in that other thing.
So first of all, you have no idea anything about basketball. I don't even know if you knew it was basketball.
Wait a second. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I actually do know a lot about basketball because of our brother.
Oh.
He watched a lot of basketball, and back in the day, like, I listened. I mean, I didn't always, I did it because I wanted to be cool with him. I wanted to be like the coolest kid ever. Yeah. And so I would hang out with him.
He was your hero. He was your hero for sure. Yeah. Older brother by 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would teach me stuff, and you know, it was also during the heyday of, I think Steve Kerr was on the U of A basketball team. Yeah. And so they were teaching me all sorts of...
The Wildcats, Rosie.
Yes, the Wildcats. Sorry. Oh, and it was also the heyday of Michael Jordan. And Mike's name was Mike. And so Michael and Mike, and, you know.
He loved Michael Jordan. Yeah. Yeah.
So I do know quite a bit about that and basketball and
about
tennis.
That. Okay.
Basketball and tennis, because tennis, it was like the whole Steffi Graf.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I used to watch tennis a lot.
Yeah, you loved tennis, and so it's Pete Sampras and Agassi. Andre Agassi, you know, and that was like their whole ride. Those are like the two I know the most about. I know a little bit of football, but like we didn't watch a lot of football, so mostly basketball.
Did you know when he said the Knicks that was basketball?
I think so.
Okay, because you did live in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm up on names. Like I remember things. But yeah, if I haven't lived somewhere, I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know where any of the teams are, really. Like, honestly, it could have been the New Jersey Knicks. I had no idea. But he knew it was the Knicks, and he wanted to go see this game. And I thought, okay, how great you two will go to this game together.
Yeah.
Okay. And you thought,
oh my God, I have to go to a Knicks game together. How am I going to survive?
So can you take us through that, what it was before you even got to the game that you were thinking or concerned about?
Oh,
and
gosh.
then I would love it if you would walk us through what happened the day of, if you remember.
Oh my gosh. I had so many concerns. I think I nightmared a little bit about it.
Did you?
Because I just haven't been to a big arena like that, a big stadium in a long time. And the only concert I remember, no, that's not true. I've gone to 2 concerts. So I remember my very first concert was with you. We went to Lilith Fair.
Oh, yeah.
To see Sarah McLachlan. And that was like my very, very first.
Yeah.
And I think the Indigo Girls were playing
But it
too,
was like outside, right?
Yeah. So it was the only thing that was hard about that one was just the heat. So
okay. Yeah, that was yeah.
But I did see a Muse concert in a stadium, but it wasn't wasn't the biggest arena, so it was like a smaller venue, so but it was still it was cool. I liked Muse, so it was a fun one, but it was definitely overwhelming.
So you have sort of purposefully avoided this exact scenario, not necessarily intentionally, but just sort of
not intentionally.
Like I never looked for this kind of experience.
Correct. I'm not like, ooh, I want to go and visit every single stadium in the world. That's a fantastic, amazing goal. And it's one that I've never had. I was worried about how loud it was going to be and how overwhelming it might be for me. When my senses get overloaded, I just struggle with energy and fatigue, like just incredible fatigue. And so I'm thinking in my mind, like, okay, I'm the adult in New York with this, technically underage child. I mean, he's a teenager, so it's not like a toddler or like, it's not like that, but it's still the weight of it. You felt
concerned that you were like, I'm responsible for your safety.
Yes. That's exactly right. And
weird stuff happens in big cities, right? And you never know. You got to be paying attention.
You just never know. So I was so worried about that. I was worried about all of the lights and like, would the lights trigger me and make me, like would I spasm something or like, gosh, I was so worried about it all and how long it was going to be. So, okay, this is the thing that I didn't realize, right? So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but like football games are pretty long, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like oftentimes over 3 hours, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking was going to happen. Like it's a football game. So I hadn't been to like a basketball game in a long time, but I just remember like when watching it, it's like a lot can happen in the last, 2 minutes, even last like 60 seconds.
And a lot of timeouts and
it can drag on and on and on. And so I kept thinking that's what it was going to be for like the whole game. So I was thinking we were going to be there for like 3 or 4 hours. We had to get there early and like tailgate or seat gate. I don't even know. I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And I think I had compounded football and basketball and my brain just couldn't handle it. So like the entire trip, I'm just like putting it in the back of my mind, like, okay, it'll be there. Like, I don't know. And I wasn't sure. So the noise canceling headphones were, you're like, oh, just use those. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. But then I was like, but what if they die? Because it's like a 4-hour event.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up buying some like earplugs that I forgot to even take with me. But I was like, I got to get the earplugs and I got to get,
I'm going to have to like wrap myself in bubble wrap and make sure I'm okay. Yeah. Okay. And dark glasses probably. And
yeah, I just, all those things I was worried about.
All those things. You guys took a lot of subways, which I was impressed with because I know you had been worried about like whether or not, you would be able to Sorry, I'm totally distracted by your like twirling your hair right now. And I'm
sorry.
like, woo, it's shiny.
Sorry.
It's okay. But anyway, you guys got on the subway. You had to get there. So there's already a lot of stimulation.
Yep.
And I think you guys had planned to go to dinner or something beforehand because it was kind of later too, which was probably to your benefit that it was later in the day. It wasn't an early morning thing. Did you go to the hotel first? I can't remember.
Yeah. So the day of, I ended up getting us a hotel, like maybe a couple blocks from Madison Square Garden.
Was that like your release valve a little bit? Like, if this doesn't go well, I know I'm not going to go too far before. Because you guys were really far away from that venue. Because you're in Madison Square Garden. So you were staying at friend's house that was over in Queens.
We were in Queens, which is, you have to like cross the river or, whatever that is. You have to cross water to get there. And so it can take about 30 minutes to get into the city. Also, you have to like go up and down a ton of stairs. So one of the things that happened was that we were going to stay until a certain day. And then my friends were coming back that day. And then we saw that the Knicks was playing like that day. So then we decided to stay an extra day. And you're like, yeah, just get a hotel. So like, okay, we got a hotel. Yeah. And we were trying to think of like fun things we could do at the hotel and kind of get one on the west side and then go around my stomping ground. But then I finally was like, I just want one right next to Madison Square Garden so that if it gets really out of control, I can just leave and I'm not far away from the hotel.
Right.
So we ended up just walking. So that day we got up, and the best part about, going to New York with him is that like we just kind of both were in our ADHD sort of brains. And it was like, oh, you're not able to, right? That's fine. Cool. I'm good. Like, oh, do you want to go out now? Sure. Okay. Like neither one of us really had a butler going on. So it was just like, whatever, dude. Like, yeah, I'm good. And I remember asking him a couple of times, like, are you sure like you're okay? Do you really want to be going out right now? He's like, no, I'm actually really grateful that we're not going out right now. So that was what happened with the hotel. Is we got to this hotel and they had like the most amazing beds. Oh, they were so good that I had to ask the lady up front, what kind of bed is this? Because I want to get one. And we ended up getting one like this.
Really? You loved it?
It was so good.
I have now given that recommendation to others. So funny. So
it's so good.
So you guys, you were well rested, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, because we were going to go do something. And then both of us were just like, we're exhausted. Like it is at the end of the trip. We'd done a lot of different things. And so we're like, is it okay if we just relax? And we're like, yeah, let's just relax. Let's just do that. So we did. And I think we ended up actually ordering food in, like we DoorDashed food in so that we didn't have to go anywhere. We were like, let's just save up all of our energy. And I was like, I love this idea. So we had some dinner and then, I wasn't sure how long he wanted to go. So I was thinking like he wanted to get there a couple hours early. He's like, no, only like 30 minutes early. It's fine. Oh, even better. Okay. So then I also figured out there was something called Clear, where it's an app that you can like put your information down and sort of clear yourself as like, I'm not a terrorist or
so you can walk through more easily into the venue.
Yeah. And so you just put your information in. There's like a clear entrance. So when we got there, there was like a giant line of people waiting to get in. And then there was like this little section that said clear. And you just like go and you show them your little QR code or whatever it was. And it's like, boom, you're in.
Wow.
So easy.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and it's for like specific. I don't think it's a ton of places yet, but like Madison Square Gardens was one of those places. Because I looked on their website. I was like doing a ton of research. Like, okay, how do I get in and how do we get the tickets? And so I was like reading up on Madison Square Garden, and they're like, well, download the Clear app. And I was like, what's the Clear app? I don't know if I want to put my information into this. But then I did, and I was like, this is brilliant. Okay, and then I'm like, Josh, do it. Okay, so we did it, and he's like, it was a thing. So we got there, and there's like, you go up all these escalators to get to wherever seat we were in. It was actually really cool because it's like I hadn't seen that part of the city before. And so we're kind of marveling at it. And I was like, Josh, look outside, like in trying to keep us into the moment of how cool this was. Then we get into like the little, I don't know, the section where all the concessions are.
Yeah.
Before you get to the seats.
And there's like everybody's selling stuff and there's smells and there's...
I couldn't figure out like, how do you know what vendor is coming up? That's what really bothered me, was that like I saw a vendor and I'm like, ooh, I could eat that. But then there's like a long line. I'm like, well, and we're also not really close to our seats. So like, let's go a little further. Oh, but we're not close to that either. And so like, and you didn't know what was going to be coming up next. And so was it going to be something that you enjoyed eating or not? So that was a little weird. Actually, maybe we didn't have dinner. Now that I'm saying it, maybe we had
You're like, because I was
lunch.
Really hungry and I was looking.
Yeah, because we were looking for some food. So we found like a burger. It was so gross. But but we got it, And we got some popcorn and some peanut M&Ms. And I was like, okay, I know for a fact we're going to probably have at least one refill of soda. So I got those like collector cups, whatever, that you can refill. And I thought, oh, it'll be fun for him just to have a little something silly. So we did that. And it actually was helpful because the lid and the straw would kind of push into the lid. So you could keep your straw away from disgustingness if you needed to.
So you're going through all of this and all these smells and all these things. Is your brain already fritzing at this point? Like, let's dig in here a little bit. Like what are you experiencing in this moment?
I was experiencing just like overload. The best way to describe it is that I was seeing all sorts of colors and I don't know, I just was like seeing confetti. So it was just like, just like confetti everywhere in my, that was like the visual I kept having.
Like a piñata being exploded or something? Like
like one of those cannons that they have, like where it's like,
like a confetti cannon.
Yeah, confetti cannon.
Oh.
I couldn't really think very well because since I think in pictures, the only picture I was seeing was confetti. And that was all I could really recall. So it was just a lot of like,
so like even trying to find your seat would be difficult.
Yeah, no, thank God Josh was able to. And
do you think that's because he was interested in it?
Yeah,
or do you
100%.
think 100%. Okay.
Yeah. Because like I can go to a theatrical show and know how to get there. And there's a lot going on in theater shows. Like I realize I don't even go to theater shows sometimes because of how crowded they are. That is a huge issue for me. But because I love theater, I'm able to kind of, okay, we got to go.
Wow. So this is one of the things that as I was reading, one of the symptoms of somebody who might have ADHD that you love that came up. And I was sort of surprised by it at the beginning because I would think you love to pay attention and observe all these things. And yet, as we've been doing these podcasts more, and we did the whole series originally about the senses and how overloaded you get because you are observing everything. And I think you said in one of our former podcasts, it's not that you have free association, like that there's words of free association, but you have free observation. That there's this observational association that's going on all the time. And so this idea of confetti really makes sense to me as you're thinking about this, because I'm thinking you're seeing all these things and you're trying to categorize them and you're trying to like figure out where they all fit, but there's so many, it just literally explodes your brain, the processing, the way you normally process things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It might also be that like, if I zoom in a little bit more on my confetti, you have like those mosaics where it's like pictures. Mm-hmm. There's all these little pictures that make up a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that, where like if you zoomed into the confetti, it would be a visual, like it would be an actual picture of something that I'm looking at.
That reminds me of that movie Love Actually, where they had all the pictures of the people at the airport greeting each other or whatever it was. And then as it zoomed out, it was a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that idea that each one of those little confettis is a picture, it's just, you can't focus in on it.
And that's the thing is like, it is, because every person that I see becomes a picture. Every sign that I see becomes a picture. Every condiment, drink, food item, every conversation, every smell, every touch that someone hits me, like all of those things become a picture in my head. And it just like assaults me almost, And I think because Josh was there, it didn't feel like it was just, the cannon wasn't like hitting me in the head. It was that it just sort of was like floating. So it wasn't as much of an assault because I knew why I was there. And so I was able to make it a little bit less painful for me.
Interesting. So this, really begs the question of what were the strategies you were using? And it sounds like one of them was just to be rested.
Yeah.
You both instinctually needed that rest before you started.
Yeah, I think so. I shouldn't speak for him, but I know for me, I definitely needed that rest. And it was helpful.
He knew you did. He knew you needed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to pause here for just a moment and we're going to do our 10-minute tomato timer break. We're going to come back and I'm going to be responsible for remembering this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
And you're going to take 10 minutes to do...
I got to finish I have my dishes soaking, my pans soaking.
Okay. So you're going to finish your dishes.
Yeah.
Your soaking dishes. And we'll think about what strategies might have helped you when we come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Stay tuned for a mid-podcast break.
That's right.
Where Rosie may sing a song for us.
Do 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 do.
Okay, see you in 10. What might be some strategies that you might have used to be able to get through the Knicks game? Because one of the things that I heard you say was that sort of rest was really important, and that being rested going in was helpful potentially. Having somebody by your side who, you wanted to be there for, there was motivation.
Knowing the why.
Why I was doing it for sure, because it's not something that's easy for you. What other strategies might you have used to help you get through that?
I think for me, knowledge is helpful. So going through and reading their frequently asked questions about how do you get there? What does that look like? Because Madison Square Garden is a big space. So where do you enter from? There was just a lot of things like that really helped me.
I mean, that really does make sense because I went to a stadium with Josh. We went to go see the Dodgers and I walked in and I knew I was going in on, I think it was left field. And when we got out that night, we were at right field because our tickets were right in center field. I mean, it was actually a little unnerving. I didn't know to be unnerved, right? I mean, I walk into everything like, oh, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I was glad that I had accidentally left my AirTag of part of my keys in the car so we could find our way back, but we would have been really lost. So you think about those kinds of logistical things ahead of time.
Yeah, I worry a lot.
Sure.
And, I've had to work this with my therapist about not stressing about things as much. But yeah, I can see all the potential pitfalls that could happen. And I don't see all of them, obviously, because things still happen. But I try to mitigate some of those things beforehand. And
do you feel like some of that anxiety comes from experience where you experience things not going well, and so you're now more cautious?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they talk about with kids between the ages of 0 and 3, you're in your most pure body where you haven't had any confinement. Like if you watch a child, they know how to squat properly and they know how to walk. They're not encumbered by things that have happened. But it's fascinating because what'll happen is if you have a toddler walk across glass that's over a hole.
Oh, not broken glass, but glass.
Yeah, plexiglass or something. Something where it's you're watching
you see
a kid,
down below.
Yeah, where you can see the hole. And if they've never experienced a hole, they don't care. They're they just walk and it's no big deal. Once they actually go into a hole and then they see it, they automatically have this moment where they're I can't walk across that.
Interesting. Do you think that's related to your ADHD or do you feel like that's just sort of your personality?
I think my ADHD plays into it as far as the consistency, right? The consistency with which I dwell on it. I'm just trying to think how to describe it because it's how often it pings me, right? And so I think for that, my ADHD definitely doesn't help in that sense. I think this is also part of the PTSD where it got bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't want to go out at all. I was just afraid of everything. And the ADHD, I think, just sort of is like the running hamster that just keeps working. And so it's like it's spinning and spinning and spinning, and whatever else is going on just gets spun into that.
So it could amplify it almost. Like it takes whatever your natural or maybe your experiences and takes it and heightens it.
Right. Yeah.
That makes sense. And that's why they're saying, right, there's always this question of whether or not your attention is an issue because of PTSD or if it's attention deficit. And you're saying you've really found this line between the two a bit more with some help.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think having intense therapy that I have, I can see now when things are trauma versus when it's just my ADD, because not going into places and having all that anxiety. When I had my service dog, Simon, he would help me to come out of dissociative moments. And so I started being able to see in real time because of his help, like, oh, that weird thing is actually me dissociating. That's not ADHD. It's not like a brain fog. It's like literally my brain is shutting down because of trauma and it's trying to protect itself. Whereas some of these other sluggish moments that might kind of seem similar to the outside world.
Outside person, yeah.
Yeah, they're not at all.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think that's something that we'll definitely want to delve into in one of our series of talking through that, because I think that is really different and hard to detect if someone who loves someone who's going through that, what's what.
It is true.
Yeah.
I think one of the other strategies that I had in dealing with that whole thing was, so there's a couple things. I had the headphones. The noise canceling really helped. Oh my gosh. Because I definitely turned off noise canceling at one point to see what it was like. And I was like, nope, put those back on.
Because you can still hear what's going along. It's just kind of takes off it
just dampens it. It just dampens it enough to like make it less crazy. And the other thing I started to do was I was watching and observing what other people were doing. And so I noticed that like everyone's screaming, and I've gotten in trouble for like screaming and being loud at performances and stuff. And so I was kind of like just taking my time and, watching and looking around. And then I found whatever it was inside of me to try to start vocalizing a bit more and being like, come on, defense, or like, whenever I heard other people doing, I just started kind of mimicking them. And I'm like, come on, I can't believe you. And then I started remembering more about the game. Like, oh, that's right, I know some of this stuff. And I was just like, come on. So I started getting into it, and then Josh started getting into it. And I think once they turned on Sweet Caroline, they had like the ba ba da, and then everyone else, like, so that moment sort of really opened me up, and it was like, this is fun. It's like on entertainment, So that was, I think, the fun thing, when like realizing like, okay, I can try to get into this and just sort of play the part, like be the person who's supposed to be here. And I couldn't care less if one team won or not, but I was like, well, we're here for the Knicks, so we want the Knicks to win.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to be that person.
Yeah. That's so fun. So like you really found a way to also, it sounds like, get your energy out, in a really constructive way that fit.
Yeah.
But I like that you looked like you were on an alien planet. Like, what do these people do? Oh, they are now screaming. I can scream.
I'm allowed to scream. Okay. And all right. Okay. We can. Okay. Yeah. I was
the
totally
noise
doing
canceling headphones, though, I think is the most genius thing. And I use them all the time. I use the headphones. I never really understood the noise canceling piece of it until, I will tell you, when I do it, and it really is helpful. I do it when I get to work. And I'm parking and I am in the garage and it's very loud. Students coming in and out at the university, and it's, all the engines and everything. And so I put those things on, and I put the noise canceling on, and I can feel just my shoulders relax, and my breathing is different, and everything, it's just so much more calm. So I think that completely is a genius tool for anyone who has auditory issues of any kind, really. But even if it's not something you think you do, the same thing with the lighting in my office, I changed that up once you told me that, because I always have hated fluorescence, but I didn't have a thought, oh, I could do something about that.
Right.
But bringing in different lighting, but the noise canceling headphones part of it is just brilliant. So I love that.
Yeah, that was probably like the best thing that got me through most of it. Was the noise
I'm just
canceling.
thinking like people in our community, especially, I would think people either in jobs or who have kids where you have to go, I mean, not have to, but you have the opportunity, right, to go watch your kid play sports, but you are dealing with some of these things that might be really helpful to think, oh, I never thought about wearing my earbuds, my noise canceling earbuds in my ears during the game, not to listen to something else, but just to kind of dampen the sound.
And I think just to know what you need and to not to be unapologetic about needing those things.
Yeah.
Right. If I was going to go sit in a bleacher, I would take some sort of a seat cushion with me.
Right.
If I need an extra jacket, I'm going to take it with me. And so you might be lugging some stuff, but like if that means you're going to be able to
like stay present, right?
Yes, that's the word.
Participate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then I think that matters, and I think that is important. And whatever it takes for you to be present and to be there and alive, like I might actually end up going and doing it again. If Josh was like, hey, let's go to another game, I'd be like, okay, I'll take you.
Yeah. And also this feeling of you can do this. It's such an accomplishment in a way too, right? To say like, if I take care of what I need for myself, because I think a lot of times what happens in relationships with people who struggle with going out into crowds is you end up becoming very separated from the community, from the group. And, not to say that you have to go, but if you can find a way to go, and especially when it's kids, right? And people you love and want to support, it's really important to try to figure that out if you can.
Yeah, I absolutely
Or to let people know this isn't personal. This is what's going on. And I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. I'm wondering if anyone in our community has any other strategies that they found helpful for themselves, because like you said, it's so individual. This thing that you're doing for you might really help you, but maybe somebody else has another thing, they have to wear a neck scarf. I don't know why.
Well, back in the day, I used to wear my sunglasses in the arena. Especially there's a lot of lights, just whatever you need to do to dampen things, just get some fabulous sunglasses and just enjoy yourself.
Enjoy.
Love
it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience going to the Knicks game, because I didn't know if you were going to make it through that one. That was, I felt like I asked you, go to New York. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
And then in addition to everything else, go to this thing you've been secretly avoiding. Well, not even secretly, just not consciously necessarily, but just kind of avoiding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That like secretly just would terrify the heck out of me. And I didn't even know.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Sisters. This series has us focusing more specifically on ADHD and all of its symptoms. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoy laughing with each other, please share it with someone you think would benefit from the conversation. Make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening to so that you can get notified each week. Because next week, we'll be talking about keeping our belongings organized. And as I look at the mess on my bed in front of me right now, I can already tell that this one definitely applies to me. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious. Before the break, I could feel my head just kind of starting to collapse a little bit, but not too bad. And then as I was working through the dishes, like I could feel the weight kind of lifting off of my head. So it was interesting. Yeah. And then got a little more rejuvenated and moved my body around a bit more. And it was really good.
Okay, that's great. So our behind the scenes process whenever we post this at some point is that we're now trying our tomato timer idea, but with
for
our
the podcast.
Yeah, for us actually doing it, so that because we zapped you the other day sort of unintentionally and that took you out for the next day. So no bueno. We don't want that.
We don't want that.